You are listening to the Horse Radio Network, part of the Equine Network family.
This is episode 114 of Retired Racehorse Radio on the Horse Radio Network, part of Equine Network, brought to you by Kentucky Performance Products and Cashel Company. Retired Racehorse Radio is your guide to the adoption, care, and training of the retired racehorse. Brought to you in cooperation with the Retired Racehorse Project and New Vocations Racehorse Adoption Program.
Well, we did it. The RRP Thoroughbred Makeover and National Symposium has concluded for the year. We made it. We survived. And in this episode, we'll be sharing a recap of the event for all you listeners who couldn't make it. You'll hear a few different interviews from some of the competitors, including Justine Griffin from Heels Down Happy Hour. And we'll have a final hurrah with our Making the Makeover Riders. We'll wrap with a training tip and adoptable horse from Leandra Cooper from New Vocations. Stay tuned.
And they're off on Retired Racehorse Radio, the podcast that is your guide to the adoption, care, and training of the retired racehorse.
This is Joy Orr, Detroit, Michigan.
And this is Kristen Kovach-Bentley in Jamestown, New York, and you're listening to Retired Racehorse Radio.
So, Kristen, what kind of wine are you drinking today?
It is what my old mentor used to affectionately call a juice box, which is just boxed wine.
Oh, I love boxed
nice.
wine.
It's a nice, I think it's a cab.
Oh, nice. Very nice. Yes, I'm drinking 14 Hands Hot to Trot. It's what I always have before and after a show.
That's nice. This was originally purchased, I think, for cooking purposes, but I have repurposed it. So
hey, you're doing what you got to do. So
yes, there.
For everyone listening, we aren't not past soberism yet. We'll see by the end of the episode.
What? Are you sure?
Listen, I can only speak for myself. I guess.
Right. So the way you worded it, I was like, what are we? Where? What?
I know. Fine. I was like, can I say drunk on the show? I don't know. I guess George will cut it out later if I can.
He'll either bleep it or he won't.
Just add a Winnie in there. That sounds great. But we are definitely having a celebratory drink after getting through another year of the makeover, which isn't as much work for me, although I felt like it was more work for me this year. I got wrangled into doing some things at the makeover I haven't had a chance to do before, but it was a lot of fun. Kristen, I don't know how you do it. I swear you're always on like one end of the makeover, like at one side of the horse park, then you're on another side, then you're another side. And I'm pretty sure you're like Hermione Granger with like the time traveler device.
Oh, that would make my life so much easier at the makeover.
No, I'm just saying that's really the illusion you give to me.
Yeah, well, that's good. No, it's just a really good golf cart. And I think back to when I used to try to do the makeover without a golf cart, and I laugh. I don't know how I ever got it done. So
I just feel like that golf cart brand, one, should sponsor our show. And two, I need to know the sneakers you were wearing before that, because they must have held up for you, or they didn't. I don't know.
You know what I did? I wore my cowboy boots all week.
Man.
So if they will hold up for ranching, they will hold up for the makeover. So,
well, if that's not an endorsement, I don't know what is.
No, we had a really good makeover. And remember last year? Well, of course you remember, because you probably will remember it forever because I've scarred you deeply. I was like not very nice to you in 2020.
I know you like told all the listeners you were mean to me.
I wanted to own the fact and repent for the following year. And we had a much more fun time this year.
Yes,
sure.
You actually got to be social, which was your big goal. You got to come to the listener meetup, which, oh my gosh, so many of you came out, which was amazing. I really loved that. And what I also loved, there were several listeners who came up to and like just introduced themselves and said like they came to the makeover because they listened to the show, or they've always wanted to meet us since they started listening. And I like that took me off guard. But it was very appreciated to know that someone's listening and it's not just Kristen and I talking to ourselves.
Just screaming into the void every day. No, seriously, that was like one of my favorite experiences this year, and I did not anticipate it at all. No. And the number of people who were like, oh my God, hey, I listened to the show and I love it. Like it truthfully, like really made our days. Like we cannot like over exaggerate like how much that like really kept us going for the whole makeover. So it was awesome. So thank you very much.
I may have cried a little bit. I cried a little bit in the car after the first day. It was like,
we did it.
We made it.
We have friends. Yeah, it was awesome. So thank you all.
Thanks,
and
everyone.
If you ever think like, oh, that's creepy, I shouldn't do that, absolutely do that. You can make it creepy. Not that I'm inviting you to do that. You can make it creepy if you want to, but we didn't find it creepy at all. We loved it.
No, yes, it was definitely much appreciated. We love knowing that you listen, and it helps us keep going and want to make more content, get more creative. So it's all appreciated. And the listener meetup was super fun because we partnered with Heels Down Happy Hour for that one. And we had a really nice turnout, and it was nice because there was also beer. Like, I have to say, the Barrels and Brew event, I thought was a pretty successful thing.
Really, really fun. Yeah. I ran into I used to actually show under him when he would judge me, and then got to know him more as a colleague. But anyway, he was judging the ranch work, and he came shuffling around the corner, and I was like, "Oh, Mike, you got a beer?" And he was like, "Cheers." So even the judges were getting into it, which I think is really fun. Like off duty, the judges stuck around to grab a beer and watch the barrel racing. So really cool.
I love that. And I have to say, Zach was super excited this year. So last year was his first makeover ever, and he just kind of like followed me around, did whatever I asked him to do to help me, because I didn't have Kristen last year. I didn't really have you this year either. But
you didn't really have me this year either. But
the nice thing is I had help last year, which in the past I've been by myself. So it was nice to have somebody. And he actually built like a little pod cart this year, which was fun to put all our stuff in attached to our bikes. But coming this year, he actually had like a sense of what was going on. And he actually started riding lessons and seeing you in August. So he has a little bit more horse sense. Is he like fully knowledgeable? No, but he has enough horse sense to kind of pick up what's going on. And I love that he started like a bromance with Claire's husband, Tom.
Oh, Tom's a ball.
Oh my gosh. They're like already planning like some cooking class for the next makeover that competitors can take. I don't know. There's other conversations happening. And I'm like, sir, you have to like get this approved. Like, there are proper channels. He's like, it's going to be fine. So
it's fine. I'll green light whatever it is. He can knock himself out.
He's trying to get like a celebrity-esque chef to come do a cooking class as part of our activity.
I don't quite see the tie-in yet, but I have faith it's going to happen. I
think he just wants to do it for fun.
He just wants to be involved. I love that.
He just wants to participate, and I think it's cute. So
when he gets that pie truck going, man, he is there. Like,
he's there.
He's got a spot reserved with his name on it.
I told him.
We're ready to go.
I told him. But the point is, if you're worried if your significant other isn't going to have fun, wrong. They will still have fun. They will find
plenty to do. Yep.
Plenty to do. And I also sent him out on a bourbon tour with my student's dad. So would be a little bit looser with his money while we went horse shopping for her. So yeah, they'll have fun if you send them out on their own.
And even if they can't come, like Eric couldn't come. He's never been able to get to a makeover, first of all, because someone's got to feed all the animals still here at home. But he watched most of the live stream, and it was really fun to kind of like, I was watching it live, he was watching the live stream, and we kind of like just texted all day about like, oh, that horse is really cool. I like this, especially when the ranch work horses came out, because then Eric's like, oh man, like that was a really good move. I love that. So it was very fun to still be able to enjoy the makeover together, even though we were hundreds of miles apart. So make sure
that's a good point too.
Hop on that live stream, folks, next year. The recording is now up on the RRP's YouTube channel. So if you missed it,
I know there's a couple freestyles I want to see. I really love Rachel Ramsey's freestyle, the Indiana Jones.
So good. I love that one.
So good. I know there's a couple other good ones out there. There's some really good rides. Like, the biggest thing I had to say is the horsemanship this year. It's always pretty good, but I think it was the first year that I noticed it just felt stellar. Like the competitors who were there were helping each other, being kind to their horses, just really praising them through. I know there was a moment, I think it was this ranch work, where a competitor's horse didn't want to go in, and the competitor before them came back and led that horse in to give them some confidence. And like, that's what this whole show is about. It was really amazing to see. So I know we have a couple interviews to jump into, and just covering a couple different perspectives. If we try to do them all, you'll be listening until Christmas. I wish I could get them all. But we'll give you a couple highlights from a couple different people that we got to connect with. I apologize in advance. A lot of it is me, because Kristen had to go do other things.
I tried. I contributed one conversation today.
You did. You did. And that was a big goal for you too. So thank you for that. Setting the bar high for next year. We're aiming for 2.
In case everyone thinks I'm a slacker, I'm just going to put out there that usually I would get to the horse park right at 7 a.m. because the sun comes up a little later in Kentucky than it does in New York because we're further west. So I had to get there to catch sunrise. And usually, I think the latest night, actually, I did way better this year. The latest night, I stopped working at 1 a.m. So
yeah, Kristen is constantly working. I try not to bother her during the makeover. So I say all this in good fun.
Yes. But yeah, I did manage to carve out a lovely conversation with one of our longest standing volunteers, and it was really fun. It was really nice to connect with her. So I hope you all enjoy it.
Yes, super excited. Lots of good things to come. Before we jump in, we're going to hear a quick message from our premier sponsor, Kentucky Performance Products.
This nutritional minute is brought to you by Kentucky Performance Products. Electrolytes. Who needs them? Your horse, that's who. Electrolytes perform critical functions within your horse's body. They help regulate nerve and muscle functions by carrying electrical impulses between cells. In addition, electrolytes assist the body in maintaining a healthy fluid balance by controlling your horse's desire to drink. When your horse loses significant amounts of electrolytes and fluids, problems such as dehydration, muscle cramping, fatigue, tying up, and colic may occur. Even in mild forms, these conditions can have a negative impact on your horse's ability to perform and recover after exercise. Horses that are ridden regularly or those that live in hot, humid climates may lose more electrolytes than their bodies are capable of replacing with a normal diet. In these instances, it is necessary to replenish lost electrolytes and keep your horse drinking. Summer Games Electrolyte replenishes the electrolytes and trace minerals lost when your horse sweats, and it stimulates the thirst response so your horse continues to drink and stay properly hydrated. Summer Games was developed for the 1996 Summer Olympics in Atlanta. Trust Summer Games Electrolyte to protect your horse when the going gets hot. To learn more, visit kppusa.com. Got questions about your feeding program? We can help. Email Karen at questions@kppusa.com or call us at 859-873-2974.
Well, I know we're going to be talking to New Vocations later on for our training tip and adoptable horse segment, but Kristen, I was really excited to do this first interview. It was with Bridget Holleran, and she actually works more with the standardbreds at New Vocations, but she entered a horse this year in the Thoroughbred Makeover. So I hope you all really enjoy this quick little interview with Bridget.
Well, I'm really excited for our next guest here. I am with Bridget. Bridget, how do you pronounce your last name?
Holleran.
Holleran. That's a fun last name. Bridget Holleran. And what's fun is she works with New Vocations. She works with Winnie Morgan Nemeth, who you've heard many times on the show and our standardbred division of New Vocations. But today she's competing at the Thoroughbred Makeover. So tell us a little bit about yourself and your horse.
Well, yes, as you said, I'm with New Vocations. I've worked with them since 2014. And while I currently ride standardbreds for them, I did start with their thoroughbreds in the old Marysville facility. And I have worked with thoroughbreds since I was a kid, did a lot of hunter jumpers with them as well. And I started riding ranch horses when I was in college and thought, what a fun way to introduce the ranch horse world to thoroughbreds by doing the makeover. So we have, That's Why I'm Me, who we affectionately call Shorty, because she is teeny. She is my tiny spicy peanut. And we are here doing the ranch division of the makeover.
I love that. I feel like we don't get enough ranch horses on the show. Kristen and I really try. We really do reach out. We just need more people to call us back. But but she is a shorty, but she is so cute. How tall is she?
She is 15 hands even, but she kind of has a big wither, so she isn't really 15 hands.
No. That's okay. My horse is like that too. We give her 15.3, but she's probably like 15.2. Really.
She'll take every inch that she can get.
Yes. But I'm a fan of a chestnut mare every time. She is super cute. And right now we're sitting out here. She's looking like she's ready to take her mid-morning nap. Has she competed today?
No, we did all of our events yesterday.
Okay. And tell us how that went for you, because you were in trail, I know.
Mm-hmm. We did our ranch pattern, the dry work, and we did our ranch trail pattern yesterday. And while she was a little nervous about some of the ranch trail obstacles, namely the log drag, we just haven't made friends with that.
I mean, that's scary for any horse, though.
She did go in and complete every task that she was given.
God.
And I think we ended up sitting 11th at the end of the day yesterday. So I was very happy with the way that she performed. The makeover is such a unique event. You don't know how it's going to end up when you start. Every horse has their own training timeline, and some of them may fit perfectly into that 10-month time frame, and some of them might just need more time. And she's grown so much since I got her and started working with her, and I couldn't be more pleased. So it's not all about the ribbons and the placings here. It's watching the progress.
Exactly. And that's really what we talk about on the show all the time. It's really just one step of a longer journey for them. How old is she?
She is a 5-year-old.
She's a 5-year-old. Okay. So she's quite young, and she's got the sweetest face. Like she's one that's going to probably forever look young, which is a nice thing.
She's so petite. Yes. She's like I said, my spicy little peanut.
I know. I love how she's picking up your chair here and trying to play with it. Definitely a lot of personality. And is she be up for adoption after this?
So actually, I have a client in-house at my training facility at home who has been helping me work with Shorty as we've started this journey to the makeover. And she fell in love with her and is actually going to be taking her as her step-up horse for mounted shooting. We introduced Shorty to mounted shooting along this journey as well, and she did not bat an eye at the guns or the balloons or the barrels or anything like that. So her new person, Reagan, is really looking forward to setting foot into the mounted shooting arena next year.
I mean, I feel like we need to get Reagan on the podcast and her journey of bringing a thoroughbred, because that goes against every stereotype for an off the track.
I know, and I love it so much. And what I'm really, really hoping is that as they go to their shoots and she gets to tell people that she is in fact a thoroughbred and she does have a thoroughbred that is shooting and that works cows, that more people will be interested in having an off the track horse for some of these different endeavors in the Western world that they wouldn't normally look to a thoroughbred for.
Absolutely. Well, there were a couple obstacles that you had to overcome. I know we talked about the log. What was her favorite obstacle?
Her favorite obstacle was the cattle pen. She immediately took to cattle when we first started working them. She absolutely loves that. That is her favorite part of the day. We opened the gate, went in. I was very happy because the cows were blocking the gate out, so we got to push them around the pen. She did not want to stop pushing them around the pen and leave, but cattle will always and forever be her favorite part of this.
I love that. So for all of you listeners who are, thinking about an off the track as their Western horse, I think Shorty's a great ambassador for the Western Horse Division for off the track. So definitely reach out to Bridget, learn more about that. And I know you're typically are working with standardbreds too. What has been the biggest transition getting a thoroughbred ready for an event like this versus getting a standardbred ready?
The standardbreds have seen so much. I don't know that a lot of the public knows the difference in the way that thoroughbreds race versus the way standardbreds race. Standardbreds haul into the track every single time that they run versus thoroughbreds who tend to stable where they're racing and then just move for different meets. So she had not necessarily seen a lot of things or been hauled a whole lot. She was a little leery about this idea of just hopping on a trailer all the time. Like, why are we moving so much? But has definitely gotten over that. And, likewise, just settling into a new stall every weekend or every couple of weekends, and realizing that it's not necessarily a big deal to move around so much. And we've just taken her along with us pretty much everywhere we've gone, even just to hang out sometimes. So.
Oh, I love it. Well, it sounds like Shorty has got a great adventure ahead of her in a very Western division. We can't wait to follow it. Where can listeners follow you, Bridget, and learn more about you?
They could follow me on any of my social media, which is Instagram and Facebook, just Bridget Holler, and just like nothing
easy
fancy.
Peasy. I love it. I love it. And of course, Bridget does work at New Vocations too. So you can always reach out to New Vocations if you have questions about a Western mount.
Yes,
for your next off the track.
Always have some nice little short, stout thoroughbreds that are available that might get overlooked for the English disciplines because they are on the smaller side, but they make great Western horses.
Love it. Well, thanks for being on the show, Bridget, and best of luck as we reach the finale.
Thank you.
So this next interview that I picked up at the makeover was with a competing team. It was a silver dollar team. They competed in the freestyle and had a really unique routine that I've never seen at the Thoroughbred Makeover. And Kristen, I don't know if you've seen anything quite like it either. But they had a Knights at the Round Table type of theme with jousting. So hear about how they trained their thoroughbred for jousting, because it amazed me.
Well, this was certainly a fun surprise to run into at the makeover this year. I am with the silver dollar team. I'll have you pass the mic around and introduce yourselves.
I'm Paul Adams.
I'm Sam Gouvain.
I'm Katie Bunka.
And I'm Nick Jacoby.
Well, I have to say, what drew me to you is the fact that we are in medieval times. We're at the makeover in medieval times. I'm taking you just finished the freestyle.
Huzzah.
Huzzah. I love it. Tell us a little bit about your routine and your horses.
So our horse Midtown, he is a off-the-track thoroughbred. We got him about a year ago, and we started training him and Sam how to joust at the same exact time.
That doesn't seem dangerous at all.
No, it was totally fine. Luckily, we had Paul, who is a very seasoned professional at jousting, to help encourage us and teach us how to huzzah. Midtown, we call him Cliff. He's 5 years old, and he's the bee's knees. We absolutely adore him. We are very grateful with how far he's come in his training, and we're really excited for this young horse's future.
I love that. So, Paul, how did you get to jousting?
It's a long, torrid story that probably shouldn't be shared on the air. But one of the great things that we're doing here is really showing one of the most extreme things a horse can do, and showing it a 5-year-old can do it safely, happily, and he doesn't care that things are running at him.
Okay. I would say that's opposite for most thoroughbreds. When you think about the racetrack, they're all running together in the same direction.
It is the exact opposite of every horse's natural tendencies. Because every horse wants to travel and run together away from danger. And then what we're teaching them to do is run towards each other.
Gotcha. So, Sam, did you know you were going to get signed up for jousting?
No. They just started throwing a joust at me, and then a horse, and then a sword. And I signed up for show jumping.
And you're like, am I insured?
They're like, oh, you actually need to learn how to joust also. Okay, let's do it.
So you're a show jumper normally?
Yes.
And then they were like, yeah, we'll get
might as well do this also.
I love that. So did you also compete in show jumpers too?
We did. Yep.
Okay. So how did you take a show jumping horse, a 5-year-old at that, and teach him jousting school?
I mean, it was great. I feel like he became such a great show jumper because we started teaching him how to joust. Yeah, I think we'll teach all our babies how to do that, because he goes into the show ring. He's like, this is nothing.
Oh my gosh.
Usually I'm running out of horse with full of gear and getting hit by sticks. Not the horse, but
yeah. All right.
So it was fantastic.
I love that. So Paul, how do you take a 5-year-old and introduce them to jousting?
Like any other horse, it's just time and repetition. We slowly get used to one thing. All right, that's not going to hurt me. Then we slowly get used to something else. Okay, that's not going to hurt me. And it's just time and keep on doing the same thing and realizing like, hey, there's just weird stuff happening because they're insane, and they'll keep going, but nothing will harm me in the process.
I love that. And that's true. I mean, I think there's a lot of things, and I mean, we make fun of them all the time. The rock that's there every day that wants to eat them, or the tree, or the shadow. Everything's scary, but there's a lot of trust involved for sure. So how did you land on a jousting routine? Whose idea was that?
Mostly mine.
What movie did you watch before
Paul
this?
keeps his horse at our farm, and we were heavily inspired. And then upon speaking to our sponsors, Coat Defense, Blue Seal, M&M Farms, and Our Farm Farrier, we added Round Table Productions as a sponsor to help us get all the gear. And we just thought it would be, excuse my French, freaking cool to bring that here and show everyone that these thoroughbreds, they can joust just as well as any other horse out there.
I was going to say, like, what horses are typically doing is more like a draft.
So Riley is our superstar. He is a thoroughbred Percheron cross, and a lot of them have mostly draft crosses, some quarter horses. Hadley's a thoroughbred, so we have some thoroughbreds too in his joust program, but no 5-year-olds. So
no 5-year-olds. Okay. Okay. And overall, how do you think your performance went?
I think our performance went really well for our first time ever doing a freestyle, and she's show jumper, I'm dressage queen. It was a lot of fun. We definitely got the crowd going, and I think that overall we were able to showcase our horse to where he is in this moment, in this environment, and Cliff's the winner. Midtown's the winner. He's
Love that.
Huzzah.
I have to say, in the years I've gotten to work with RRP, I've never seen jousting here. So I'm sure that was something new and exciting for the judges.
We had to get a lot of email permissions because of weapons and killing.
Rules, you know?
Yeah.
They're just suggestions at the end of the day. Guidelines. Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. If people want to learn more about the work that you do, where can they reach out to you?
I will let Paul tell us where they can reach out to his production company.
The best way to get a hold of us is usually roundtable.productions or through the Facebook, the Book of Face, Roundtable Productions. And yeah, we do shows all over the country, clinics, bomb-proven clinics, desensitization, and then teach people like, hey, here's some of the things you have. And at the end of the clinic, we put on a full show.
I love that. Well, thank you all so much. And I know the question I forgot to ask. Where did you find your horse? Where did you adopt him through?
So in college, I interned at a thoroughbred breeding farm, Arrowwood, in York Springs, Pennsylvania. And by interning there, I learned which mares I liked, and I put dibs on certain mares when their babies would come off the track. So we got the call last May, probably, that Midtown was going to be retired. And I adore his Grand Dam. So they called me and they said, we see you have a shoddy on the sheet here. Would you like to come and meet him? And we said, we don't need to meet him, just drop him off.
Oh, I love that.
So
thank you guys so much for being a part of Retired Racehorse Radio. Best of luck as they're finalizing and hope to see you in the finale.
Thank you.
Thank you. Huzzah.
Huzzah.
I'm here with Tony from Cashel. You all know it from the ads you hear all the time on this show. But we're at the trade show, and this is the point of time in the year where we find out what's new coming out. So what's Cashel have new coming out?
Oh, we've got a great lineup of 32, 34 wool top pads.
So describe them.
5 different colors, real vibrant, bright, sharp-looking pads.
What makes them different?
Well, it's the fill. The wool felt on the inside is a natural felt, and the fleece on the bottom is 100% merino.
Oh, really? Okay. So these are soft and squishy pads.
Well, not real squishy, but soft, and they do absorb shock and saddle fit.
What would they retail for? What are those?
That's about $119.
That's the right price. Yeah. Anything else new with Cashel coming out?
Oh, we've got more saddle pads coming in the fall, new strap line coming in the fall. It's a two-tone that looks great with a great buckle set on it. We're always in development, so there's so many projects in the works.
What's still your most popular product? Is it still always the same things year after year?
Fly. You bet.
Yeah,
fly
that's what we all.
That's
how I knew you in the first place was fly masks. Yep.
Yeah, many years ago, we were primarily fly masks and kind of had some tush cushions and a few odds and ends. Today, we've broadened that offering to saddlebags, strap, head stalls, breast collars, bell boots, leg protection, and it continues to grow.
Is there a place where somebody can go and see all the products?
CashelCompany.com will give you a good offering.
There you go. Well, thank you, Tony. It's been fun seeing you again.
Hey, thank you. Good to see you.
So this interview was really fun to do with Morgan Hayden. She was actually recommended by Claire Mansman, who's been part of our Making the Makeover series. And oh my gosh, she had such a stellar hunter ride with her thoroughbred. So can't wait for you to hear a little bit about her makeover journey.
Well, we are at the Kentucky Horse Park, and I'm super excited for our first guest here. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
So, good morning, everyone. I'm Morgan Hayden. I am here at the Kentucky Horse Park with the Retired Racehorse Project with my 5-year-old bay gelding, Goldie's Boy.
Oh, he is super handsome. And I have to say, Morgan's being a real trooper because she is holding her horse and trying to do an interview at the same time. And for anyone who's had a young horse, they are busy brains. So tell us a little bit about your RRP horse this year and what makes him special and why you're excited to compete him.
So Goldie's Boy was transitioned off of the track through Beyond the Wire and then directly to Mid-Atlantic Horse Rescue, which is where I work as well. And then also a satellite farm for them as well with my husband, Kyle. What makes this horse so special is, just to be honest, I was not at a point in my life where I even was looking for another horse. didn't want another horse. And actually my heart horse, I just got really unfortunate news about weeks before finding this guy. I competed back in the Mega Makeover, and he bowed a tendon at the track, was training phenomenally, and then we were told he almost ruptured his tendon, so needed some rehab.
No.
So very tough.
Yeah.
Beverly Strauss is a phenomenal woman who runs and is the co-founder of Mid-Atlantic Horse Rescue, and actually just said, hey, we had a couple of people drop out of a clinic. Do you mind just grabbing one out of the field? So I picked this guy, and it has been phenomenal ever since. He is incredibly smart, incredibly brave, incredibly talented, and you really just can't ask for anything better, especially for a horse that's 5 and coming and just doing it. So it's been really good.
Oh, well, it was such a pleasure watching you in the hunter ring yesterday. I was announcing for show jumpers, but was able to peek over, and he is just a phenomenal mover. You can tell the brain is just so steady on this horse. And what I love about him is he's very refined, and he's a little bit smaller than what most people think of for going into hunters, but he was extremely impressive. What are you hopeful for this makeover for him?
So honestly, what I was hopeful for was just really to take it all in stride, and we did exactly that. I had 0 expectations. I had 0 goals. I wanted to really just come and have fun. And really, the best part about it is every step of the way, I either learned from him or he learned from me, or we were like, that kind of felt weird. And we fixed it, and it just was incredible.
Oh, I love that. Well, I will tell listeners. So Claire Mansman, who we've been following for the entire makeover period, was actually the one who recommended I interview you. And one of the things that she complimented you on is she said that you were someone, when she first met you, did not realize how great of a rider you actually are. And this horse has given you that opportunity to see how talented you are as a rider and competitor. And she was really proud to see that for you. So I think it's amazing that not only are you bringing him into his best light, he seems to have been able to offer that for you as well.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And it's really funny because, Claire's stalling right next to us. We visit Claire and Tom once a month. We're about 3 hours away. They honestly are more than friends. They are family. And we've had just the best time. We constantly joke. And I think the best part of the makeover was warming up in the jumper ring with the ticketed schooling. And we just sing, well, mainly me, but like Goldie and I have a song from Uncle Cracker that we sing the whole way around every course. And, Claire and I were just shouting it back and forth. So it has been such an honor and such a privilege to train with them, to see what I'm capable of, to see what he's capable of. And honestly, I'm just blessed to have them in my life.
Oh, that's amazing. Well, he just looks cool, calm, and collected. He looks like he's having a very good time at the makeover so far. So you had your first round of show hunters yesterday. What was on the docket today?
So we had show jumpers today.
Okay.
He did phenomenal. We had 3 rails, but it's
it was a
okay.
tough course, though, this
it's
year.
okay. And I want my horses to hit rails. I want them to say, that felt weird. And maybe, he gets the best good boy when he hits the rail. Cause I want him to say, hey, it's okay. I made a mistake, but I'm going to be so confident going forward. So it's it's such a great learning experience, and it's a big ring, and he's very attention oriented to sounds. So we had car alarms and tractor trailers and tractors, but he handled it phenomenally.
Love that. Well, congratulations. Super excited to see how you continue to do. I know preliminary is over for you now, so now we sit and wait.
That's right.
But best of luck in getting into the finale this weekend. What are you hoping for Goldie at the end of this makeover? Where's this journey after?
So after this, we're going to go home. We're really going to take just a couple steps back and not to restart, but just to refine his footwork, to refine our partnership. And honestly, just hack out. He loves hacking out. He loves the hill work for his hind end, and really focusing on getting not only his mind as strong as it is, but also his body as well.
Oh, well, congrats. And I love that for him. We can't wait to see how you continue to go in your future career with him. If people want to learn about you or follow your journey, where's the best place for them to do that?
So they can certainly follow me on Facebook. It's just under Morgan Hayden. I do have a TikTok. It's not that exciting, but I do have one video with 2.5 million views. And also Instagram. So you can find me on any of those. But Facebook is probably where you'll see the most of Goldie.
Excellent. Well, thank you again, Morgan. And hey, if Mid-Atlantic Horse Rescue sounded familiar, it's because you're standing next to Natalie Holden and stalled next to her, who was one of our featured riders last year. So familiar faces all around.
That's right.
Thank you again, Morgan, and best of luck.
Thank you so much.
Well, I did finally get a chance to sit down and do a little recording for this episode. And instead of a competitor, I chose to interview a volunteer because it is the volunteers that make the world go round at the Makeover. And they're the ones that help us get that reputation for being the happiest horse show on earth. And I did find out also that Lisa is a listener. So Lisa, if you're listening, thanks so much for hanging out with me on Tuesday morning. Let's hear our interview with Lisa. So I am up here on schooling day with Lisa Dowell, who's been one of our long-standing Makeover volunteers. You said this was your 5th year. So we're going to chat with Lisa a little bit just about why she keeps coming back to the Makeover. We haven't broken her yet, I guess. Good morning, Lisa.
Good morning, Kristen.
So Lisa, you said this was your 5th Makeover year. What keeps you coming back?
Well, it is my favorite week of the year. I started coming in 2017 because I had just gotten my first thoroughbred and I wanted to learn more about the breed and see the different disciplines. And I just fell in love with the event.
And you mentioned that you take a full week off of work to do this, which I think is amazing.
I do. I take a vacation week, so it is paid vacation, but it is the longest days. Normally I work, 8 or 9 hours a day in my normal job, but here it's 15, 16 hours. And it's hard work. It's very labor intensive, but it is so fun. I'm pretty exhausted at the end of the week, and then I have to drive back to Virginia, but it is so worth it.
That's amazing. And they are really long days here. I mean, I think you were probably here this morning about the same time I was. I think I rolled in at about 7. Maybe you were even here earlier, and we'll be here until at least 7 tonight. And we haven't even started the show part yet. So.
Right. It is really fun, though, to see the sunrise at the horse park. So it's very worth it to get here early.
I agree. Yeah, it was very cold this morning. I think it was 39 on my truck thermometer when I came in. So it was a very chilly sunrise, but it was pretty. So I'm glad you enjoyed it too. So what are some of the jobs that you've done at the Makeover over the years?
A little bit of everything. I've been a judge at competitive trail. As I was saying, I was babysitting some chickens that were in a dog kennel, and the horses had to approach and circle. That was one of the highlights. I've worked in the hunter ring and in the jumper ring as a jump crew member. I've worked as a warm-up steward. I've worked as a scribe. I've done kind of a little bit of everything, but my favorite right now is the awards party.
What's special about the awards party?
Well, I love events, and so I help from setup to breakdown, and just seeing the excitement on the competitors' faces. It's just a big party. Everyone has such a great time. It's a lot of fun, and we always get free drinks.
Free drinks are always a plus. That is also my favorite part of any event. So I'm with you there. That's awesome. So what makes the Makeover itself special? I mean, you could go anywhere to volunteer. You could go much closer to home for sure, and maybe not have to take a week of paid vacation. So why do you keep coming back to this show in particular?
The people are incredible. Every year I meet new horse friends, and I keep my horses at home, so I don't have barn friends. And this is a way for me to continue to make barn friends and just learn. I love all the education at this event, seeing all of the competitors. It's a very cordial environment. Everyone is very supportive. I've worked with Emily and jumpers for several years, and just listening to Emily teach people and help people. You get these young riders that come in and they're so scared and anxious, and Emily gets up there and talks to them and calms them down, and they go in and ride, and they do a beautiful job. It's just the whole environment is incredible.
Yeah, it's been called the happiest horse show on earth, which we really appreciate that title. We did not give it that. That was assigned to us, I believe, in Eventing Nation. And we've kind of run with it because, it's good marketing for us, but I think it's also true. I competed in this event back in 2018, and I was like, I have never been to a horse show like this, where everyone is just so kind.
Well, and I don't compete at all. I haven't been at in a horse show since I was a teenager, probably. But this is a way for me to feel like I'm part of the horse show world, even though I'm not competing.
Oh, you absolutely are part of the horse show world for sure. You're definitely part of the Makeover family, forever and ever. So
I will keep coming back.
Love that.
Well, this next interview, I'm super happy to introduce Justine Griffin. She's been on before. She is one of the co-hosts of Heels Down Happy Hour with Horse Radio Network, part of Equine Network. But she took a horse to the makeover too, and I just really love what she had to say. And I think she really encompassed what this show is about. So I hope you all love to hear what she has to say too. Well, it's such a pleasure to have Justine Griffin on with us, and she's from Heels Down Happy Hour. So if that name is familiar, should be. You should be listening to their show too. Welcome back to Retired Racehorse Radio, Justine.
Thanks, Joy. Always great to chat with you.
I feel like we've gotten to really get to know each other since you entered the makeover this year. You know, we had a couple interviews on both of our shows, and then we got to meet in person at the makeover. But now that it's completed and we've had a couple days to decompress, overall, how are you feeling about the experience?
Oh my gosh. Well, first of all, definitely still hungover.
Yes.
Wow. I think it's going to take me like more than a week to recoup. But luckily, we got home safe in Warfeather. My makeover graduate is enjoying a well-deserved week off out in the field with his buddies. And oh my goodness, what a whirlwind the makeover was. You know, everyone talks about how it's the happiest horse show on earth. And I just feel like that's a really accurate way to describe it. Every single competitor, support person, volunteer, RRP official. I mean, everybody is just so happy to be there. It's unlike any other horse show I've been to in that when you go to a horse show, you're there to compete and show off your horse and hopefully place well, or at least put in good rounds. And, that's such an individual goal, right? But at the makeover, I just felt like I was part of something that was so much bigger than that. I was part of this community of people who were just there because of their love of thoroughbreds. And even if they didn't have the best round in show jumping or in their freestyle, or it didn't matter, just because you made it there, you made it to the horse park and got to be part of this experience celebrating the breed. And I just feel so full from that experience. I hope that makes sense.
No, I think that really does encompass kind of the general reviews we get from everyone who either just joins for fun, comes to volunteer, or they're competing in it. It is such a unique horse show because while you're there to compete and show off your horse, you also are there just to celebrate them. It really almost feels like I don't mean to be like culturally insensitive to anyone, but it kind of feels like a bar mitzvah a little bit. It's like they're like coming into their second careers, coming into adulthood, coming into this new space for them. And it's beautiful to watch.
It really is, and I felt that individually with my horse. Like he just peaked at the right time, like in his body condition, he looked really great. We got a lot of praise from the arrival exam vets and students there, and in his training too. Like mentally, he felt prepared to be there. It was a long haul. It was 2 days of driving for me from Florida. And I worried about that for him, right? It's a big stress, but he really just settled right in and was unflappable in this big environment. And, the first couple of days, it was quite cold for us Floridians. It was like in the 30s.
It was cold in general. And I'm from Michigan.
Yeah. And he just, he took it all in stride, and I just couldn't be prouder of him, and luckily we went home with some ribbons, which was great. And, it was so fun. It was a bucket list horse show for me. And I'm so glad and so proud to say that I accomplished it.
I love that you say that. And it was certainly interesting weather. I know Kristen and I were kind of like, oh man, what's it going to be like? So it was cold on entry for check-in, and then it went up like 20 degrees, and then it dropped again 20 degrees. So welcome to the Midwest for anyone who has not ventured out yet. That's a pretty normal season for us. But it's hard on the horses, especially if they're not really in that kind of space all the time. There's a lot of stressors, but as a spectator coming in and getting to see all the different events, I feel like this year just had a really calm vibe. Like I feel like the competitors that were chosen to compete just had this really nice mentality. They were really looking out for their horses. Like the horsemanship really stood out this year at the makeover, which was really neat to see. Tell us a little bit about, if someone hasn't listened to the episode where you joined us in the spring, what did you and Warfeather compete in?
Sure. So Wyatt, as we like to call him in the barn, we competed in eventing and dressage. So I'm an eventer, an amateur eventer at home here in Florida, and that's what I've done with my other thoroughbred, Mikey. And luckily, Wyatt, as we began the training process, showed a natural affinity for it. He's quite brave. He took to cross country very easily, and over the course of the last 10 months, really improved in his jumping form. The flat work, the dressage was definitely the hardest for him, but I live at a dressage barn. That's where my horses stay, and am committed to the vegetables, right, of dressage because it makes everything easier and better. And to be honest, that was the highlight of the makeover for me, were his dressage tests in the pure dressage portion of the competition. He is never going to be the most relaxed horse to ride. He's just naturally a forward and very sensitive guy. And he just really showed up on Thursday, which were my dressage ride times, and put in some of the best tests I think we've ever done. And that just speaks volumes to the training and how far this horse has come. So that was definitely the highlight of my competition experience.
That's amazing. Because I know dressage riders, especially as a dressage rider, it's not the most inviting atmosphere for especially a green dressage horse, let alone even seasoned ones. Like, there's so much going on. There's lots, there's 10 different disciplines happening around these horses. There's lots to look at, lots of sounds, lots of things happening. And to hear that you had a really positive test definitely says a lot about you too, as a trainer, and the trust he has in you.
Oh, thank you.
Of course. So overall, you had a great experience at the makeover. It's a long week. There's lots involved. What's next for you and Wyatt? I think that's always the fun question at the end, like, what's the next part of your journey? Because we always say the makeover is just one step. It's just one milestone.
It is. Yeah, that is a great question. So I've waffled on this because in the short term, Wyatt deserves a nice break. But in the long term, I would love to find him his forever home. I wish it could be with me, but 2 horses is a lot to feed. And I decided to do the makeover because my heart horse, Mikey, was injured. He's been recovering from a suspensory injury over the last year. And we went through all of the therapies needed to treat him and gave him the time off. And the timing of this just ended up working out well, where he is sound and ready to start coming back into work. So I'm hoping I can shift my gears to helping Wyatt find a forever mom and a wonderful home, and I can get back to working with Mikey. I'm not sure what that home will look like for him. I'm very willing to get creative to find the right person for him because he is such a special guy. But I know that everything that we've done in the last 10 months leading up to the makeover, and obviously the makeover experience, just gives him so many more tools and skills to just find that good home, which is obviously the most important thing.
Absolutely. And I think it's so admirable because selling horses isn't easy. I feel like if you're someone who thinks selling horses is easy, you might be in the wrong profession.
Yeah, it's not easy.
No. And to go on this journey for as long as you have with him, and to get him off the track, and to see what all of his advancements over the last few months, it's really less than a year of training, but you experience so much together that's hard to let go of when you can see the potential that's there too. So I think it's really admirable. You gave him a better shot at finding a forever home because he's got some retraining and experience under his belt, and some chances to prove himself too, where I think a lot of people get nervous getting it off the track, especially right off the track if they've never had experience, because you don't really know what you're going to get till you start getting involved. So I just want to thank you for doing that, and every other trainer who, especially on the amateur side, who is willing to sacrifice a little heartbreak to give that horse a better future.
Absolutely. Yeah, it will definitely be a bittersweet day when that date comes, but he really deserves the best. So I'm hopeful that the right person is out there for him.
I know that person's out there, and we can't wait to meet them, because they'll have to definitely PM us and say how they got Wyatt and why they were drawn to him, and let us know about his future. We always encourage to tag us in your stuff. But I would love to know, so this is your first time doing the makeover. What would be your words of advice to someone who is interested in doing it for the first time?
Ooh, that's a good question. Pretty simple. Just do it. If you've ever considered doing it, don't let the what ifs get in the way. It's important to be prepared, obviously, with horses as much as you can, because they have a way of turning any plans that you make on their heads. But it is a financial commitment. It's a big time commitment. It's a physical commitment. But gosh, it's so rewarding. And what I love about the makeover experience was, at the end of the day, it wasn't about coming home with a ribbon or making it to the finale. It was just getting there. It felt like such an accomplishment, and competing and showing what my horse could do after 10 months of starts and stops and highs and lows, and abscesses and diagnosing mystery things and aha moments with your trainer. And it's such a, it makes me teary-eyed thinking about it. It's just such a cool thing to end a journey on, or even begin your next chapter with a horse on. It's very emotional, and I don't think everyone told me oh, you won't regret it. It's so much fun. You're going to have such a great time. But I don't think I was prepared for how emotional the experience was, because it was so validating for me as an amateur rider. I don't do this. I don't train horses for a living, but that I did this. The Wyatt people saw at the makeover is a horse I produced all by myself. And that was incredibly validating. And I'm just so proud of this horse. And it makes all the money, all the time, all the hardship worth it. So if you've ever considered or even thought about it, in bed at night going, oh, that would be so cool to do one year, do it. Just do it. You won't regret it.
I love that. I can't think of a better thing to end on, Justine. Thank you so much. And it really is a horse show that's not just transformational for the horses, but for the competitors too.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you again for joining us. Congratulations on completing the makeover. It's just getting there. That's the big win at the end of the day.
It is. It is.
If listeners want to follow more about your journey or listen to Heels Down Happy Hour, what's the best way to do that?
Absolutely. So you can find Heels Down Happy Hour anywhere you find podcasts, but we are also part of the Horse Radio Network, like Retired Racehorse Radio, and we publish once a month.
Perfect. Well, thanks again, and good luck on all your future endeavors.
Thank you.
Train with top hunter, jumper, and eventing professionals anytime, anywhere with Practical Horseman on Demand. Your membership gives you access to hundreds of how-to training videos taught by top-level hunter, jumper, equitation, and eventing pros. Exclusive interviews and lectures, slow-motion demonstrations, insider access to private clinics and lessons, and step-by-step tutorials. New content is always being rolled out, so there are always new videos available on the topics important to you. Join now for just $24.99 a month and take your training to the next level with Practical Horseman on Demand.
Well, through a fancy bit of internet wrangling, we managed to get all 4 of our Making the Makeover riders on for one last party. And I'm already a little sad because I don't want to say goodbye to you guys yet. I'm going to let you all say hello in unison, and then I'm going to have to wrangle this thing because there's 4 of you. So hello, welcome back to Retired Racehorse Radio.
Hello.
Hello.
Oh, you guys, that was super civilized. All right, from here on out, I will try to keep it a little more organized so our poor producer, George, doesn't lose his mind. He loves it when we have 4 guests on at the same time. But congratulations, everybody. We made it through the makeover. We lived to tell the tale. I'm very excited to hear everyone else's take on how it went. So we're going to kick off with your favorite moment from the makeover. And I'm going to go in alphabetical order by first name and start with Adriana.
Oh my gosh, you put me on the spot.
I'm sorry. No, nothing.
My favorite moment. Can I pick 2? I have 2 favorite moments.
You can.
One was when I finished my eventing dressage test, which was my first discipline, and I came down the center line, and I knew that I knew it was a really, really nice, clean test. And I did that final salute, and I gave my pony the biggest hug because I knew we just nailed it. And so that was number one. And number two was when we got to ride in the finale. That was really exciting.
It was super exciting for all of us. And you know what? I was just thinking, like, back on your first episode, I remember you were like, this is a little horse that can go all the way. And if that is not like the power of positive thinking and like working towards your goals, I don't know what is. So congratulations again for making it all the way.
And congratulations to Hope, because I really do feel like he has set a new precedence that you do not have to be over 15 hands to be successful at the makeover.
16 hands. Yeah, I mean, everyone wants the big horse, and he's like,
I know,
barely a horse.
Yeah, and again, he has absolutely no idea. He thinks he's giant, so that's all that matters.
He's got a big presence. That's for sure.
Yes,
yeah, for sure. All right, we're moving down the list. Claire, favorite makeover moment.
That is I agree. It's a super unfair question.
You just had like a whole minute to think about it.
I know. And then I started thinking of more. I was like, oh, I got it. Oh no. Then there was this. But I will say, well, Adrienne and I got to pick two, so I'll say two. It was watching our student Morgan, who I know you guys did or are doing, I think, an interview with, and she's a dear friend as well. And when she came to us, she had so many confidence issues and was barely jumping anything. And just in the schooling ring of this, she's gotten this really nice horse, and he's super groovy, and she like flew around the show jump course like a total pro. And I was like, well, yeah, just do that like that. And it was so heartwarming because, she's had she's had, had a horse she had to retire, and, all the stuff that we go through with horses, and just watching her sail around in this nice partnership was really, really neat. And then our two young horses, I just think, stepped up in incredible ways. So it was really having lovingly low expectations of them, not because they're not talented, but because, they've had a lot of exposure, but, just to get them out there. And, we joke about like Snapper, when he would get tired, he used to kind of have a lot of rails. So it's not that he didn't want to be careful. He just wasn't. And so I was a little, not exactly certain how they would handle the atmosphere of the baby horse fatigue. They get so tired doing nothing. And they just stepped up and jumped so well, and were so lovely and professional out there. So it was kind of the completing of the rounds and being so impressed with what they did was probably my favorite. Plus the fact that they won everybody over. They ransacked pockets. Julia has a new love.
She's the love of my life.
Yeah.
And like 25 other people.
And Morgan was just
he likes Julia
interview.
The best. Yeah, she's so great.
Yes, she really loves that horse, and it just showed. And he loves her. I really loved watching them in the hunter ring.
Yeah, they're so cute.
Mm-hmm.
So cute.
I love that. All right, well, Claire, you already just gave a leg up to Julia. So, Julia, what was your favorite moment other than meeting Claire's horses?
Obviously, snuggling with Cash is my favorite thing. Outside of that, so I've been doing the makeover for a long time. And some of the people who I breed for at the makeover are people that I met when I breeded for TIP championships when it was still in Kentucky. I want to say 2019. And then they did the makeover the following year. So I have a lot of friends who I see once a year and once a year only, and it's at this horse show. And so obviously I didn't bring my horses here, but so like my favorite part is just seeing all of those people. And like the horse community is so crazy, we all like go through the same struggles, and we bounce ideas off each other all year long. So then when I see these people who I've probably literally met in real life 7 times, 5 times maybe, it's just really exciting to be able to see them and spend time with them. And it's, just like catching up with an old friend every time. So for me, that's always kind of my favorite part. Whether I have a horse here or not, is just, getting to spend time with people that I only get to see once a year, but that I consider extremely close friends.
Yeah, that is like one of the wildest things about the makeover, right? Like, everyone, all the trainers get to know each other in the trainer group, but like you've never met, but then it's like no time has passed and you're just like, hey, 400 best friends. Like, I've never experienced it anywhere else, but it's true. Like, because I only see my coworkers sometimes once a year, and we're just like, hey friend, and you just hit the ground running, and yeah, it's wild. Yeah, it's a unique experience for sure. So I'm glad you get to enjoy it as well. Awesome. And Melissa, who is calling us from an ambulance, not in the back. She's in the front, I think, right? You're not like on the gurney in the back of it. All right, good deal.
That's for clarification.
just to be sure. Okay.
So I have two favorite moments as well, since everybody else got one, I guess. We'll allow it. I think my first favorite moment was the second night of barrels during like Barrels and Brews Secret. I decided to bring all of Bo's tack that I'd gotten for him for makeover and had put it all on her. And she had like a little piece of like his hair on her breast collar. And like, I don't know, I think like right before we started, I walked up to Bethany and was like, I have a really weird request. But I was supposed to do freestyle and barrels with the song, like with this horse. I was like, can we play the song that I had picked for freestyle when I go in and run barrels? And they actually played it. So I was like ugly crying the whole time I'm running on my horse. But like, it was such a special moment, even though like she knocked a barrel and Victor and I were laughing about it afterwards. I was like, to be honest, like Bo probably would have done that too. So like, it was a very Bo like run. So that was really special. And then I think my favorite other moment was during the barrel finale, like victory lap. Katie Aiken, the amazing person who won, we like high-fived and the photographer actually got a photo of it. So
I love it.
It's really exciting.
I'm gonna have to go look for it now. I love those. The
it's like photos. It was very like uncoordinated because our mares were like, we're mares. We can't be next to each other now that you're trying to do stuff. But it worked out.
Oh my God, I love that. And the makeover is always so good for those moments too, of like random hugs with strangers, high fives with people you just met 5 minutes ago, like stuff you'd never do. Like, let's ride our horses close to each other while we're loping and give each other a high five. That's perfect. I love it. Let's see. I got to meet Adriana, sort of. I like waved at you like a creep as you were going into the.
I mean, I did too.
That's how
I didn't
we all
even
met
wave. I
Adriana.
just held my phone up at her, getting footage. I'm like,
and smile for the Instagram. Melissa, I met a few times. Victor, your boyfriend, fiance? Husband. Okay. He got very creative trying to dodge out of my camera frame every time. And Claire, I saw every 5 minutes because that's just how it works. And Julia keeps like nocturnal hours to braid. So somehow I never met you. So that's still a bummer, but maybe
I
did get to meet Julia though.
I saw you from a distance multiple times and I didn't want to be creepy, so I never said anything.
Oh, just be creepy, girl. It's fine.
I saw you like 4 times.
Oh, man.
Okay, well, see, that's creepier than if you would just come up and been like, hey.
Okay. Kristen, note for next year, our like interviews
gosh.
before the makeover, let's be sure that we put a PSA that people are welcome to be creepy towards us.
You're allowed to come see us. It's fine.
You were very busy.
I mean, that's probably also accurate, but that's okay.
Wait. I have a worse story to tell.
Uh-oh.
You guys may not have met, but you have a photo together.
Oh, no.
Just never got introduced.
Okay, that's right. Because she was at Barrels and Brews.
We just pulled her into the side.
Oh yeah, I was there.
Okay. Yeah, that's creepier. Now it feels like, like
didn't actually meet, but you have a photo together.
True.
Yes.
I was there.
That's
all
funny.
right. That's fine.
That's
I'll allow
awesome.
it. I'm really glad on this podcast, which is known for being a highly visual medium, we're now going to talk about this photo we had together. But
don't worry. It's going to go on Instagram. You'll all see it.
Yeah, we'll put it on the gram. It'll be fine. Oh my God, that's too funny.
That is what the makeover is made of right there.
Creepy moments that aren't creepy.
No, it's like the like people I spoke to somebody and I was like, I have to ask this question. Did we meet? Because I can't remember.
Yeah, it is like that.
Yeah. I know, Claire, like you do this in the trainer group, like every October 1st, like please post a picture of yourself because everyone always sees like your tiny thumbnail image and no one looks the same in like a hairnet and helmet either. So, a little like, here's me, here's my horse, here's what I'll look like, which I always appreciate. I don't remember any of it, but I appreciate that you do it.
I don't remember it either, but it makes me feel better for when I don't remember.
Yeah, you have a point of reference at least to go back.
And I have an excuse. I can be like, remember my post.
Right.
I also saw Adriana a lot of times while she was warming up and wanted to be like, oh my God, I know your horse. but I also didn't do that either. So.
Oh, you should have.
So next year, I'm just going to say hi to everyone.
You should have. You would have been one of the 10,000 other people that recognized my horse.
He's very distinguishable. Yes. Yes. There's not a lot of 14-3, very flashy thoroughbreds walking around the horse park during that week.
He sticks out like a sore thumb.
He really does. Well, I have a question for each of you, and I'll go in reverse order. I'll start with Melissa. I would love to know, what were you worried about your horse taking in at the makeover? And then what actually happened? I would love to know what was your worst fear and then how they actually reacted to your worst fear.
So I honestly expected Boogie to have just a full out meltdown when we pulled up, because she's not exactly the quietest horse in new places. And it was actually Ace, who is, my 3-year-old that came in to the game super, super late and has always been an angel. And he got off the trailer, and I don't think we didn't see the whites of his eyes for the first 3 days.
Oh my gosh. Poor dude.
And I actually ended up scratching him because I couldn't even get him out on the lunge line without him just shutting down. And I was like, okay, I'm not going to throw balloons and tarps and loud music at you while you're already
probably not the best.
Yeah, that's
blown.
a good horsemanship decision. Yeah.
And then I got on him Friday and he was totally fine. And I was like, really? But so we actually had a really good hack. So I'm not mad. And then Boogie was a saint for most of makeover until she got really annoyed with everybody coming to her stall on Friday. Kristen tried to get a little video clip, and I'm like, can you just put your ears up for this real quick?
Oh yeah, she was not happy. I was like, oh girl, come on. She was like, yeah.
I she is a chestnut mare. During check-in, I was like, she is a chestnut mare, and I'm gonna take her temperature for y'all because we need more vets in America. And I don't want to be responsible for us losing a vet student at Thoroughbred Makeover.
Oh no. That's very forward thinking of you, though.
Yes.
And at least I'm aware that I know that I have that horse. But no, she handled everything super, super well. And Ace, once he finally settled in, he was back to normal. And I was like, okay, well, maybe I could have pushed, but I'm honestly glad that I didn't.
No, I think you made the right choice for him. And it was nice that, he was calm enough by Friday that he could walk around. And for listeners who might not know, you got Ace fairly recently in August, because you unfortunately had a very tragic incident with your original makeover horse. So this was a very fast turnaround. And the fact that he could just take it in for a few days and go out for a hack after says a lot about him. And he's only 3.
Yeah. And I forgot that we weren't supposed to be near the Rolex, and may or may not have kind of ended up in that area. And he's just staring at them, and I'm like, it's fine. And he walked away flat-footed, and I was like, cool, we're going back to the barn before somebody yells at me.
Before Darius Rucker yells at you himself. Yeah.
I mean, that's an accomplishment too, if that does happen. Just saying.
Put it on his adoption thing. This horse was yelled at by Darius Rucker.
Darius Rucker. That's fun. That's fun. Okay, Julia, I know you didn't get to bring a horse, but you were doing a lot of braiding. I would love to know.
I was going to say, so I didn't bring a horse, but I put my hands on a lot of horses.
Yeah.
And the makeover is very interesting. So I always compare it to another horse show that I do in September. It's Colonial Classic. It's a local series finale. So it's a lot of local series. It's the biggest horse show they ever do. And for the makeover, some of these people, it is the biggest horse show they will ever do. And so you get a lot of horses that maybe have never been braided before. Their manes probably are not pulled correctly. And the spray bottle is weird, and my ladder is weird, and my headlamp is weird. But this year was my least dramatic braiding year that I've had since 2016 braiding for this horse show. So that was really exciting for me. Every horse, I would say 95% of their manes were properly prepped, which was really exciting, because having to pull something that you don't know in the middle of the night is scary, and you never know how it's going to go. the ones that, were like maybe going to be a little funny about stuff, I was warned ahead of time, and all of them exceeded my expectations.
That's awesome.
So it was awesome. And I got to meet a mini that was in the stall with, what is it? Belle the cat. I think she was in the finale for the hunters and
Brenda A. Wadsworth. Yeah.
Yes. So I got to play with her mini a couple of times, which was great. But yeah, so I like everyone's horses who I've graded exceeded my expectations.
That is awesome. Because I almost feel like that scares me more than taking a horse I've at least known for the last several months and like bringing them to a new situation. Like, how they're probably going to react. Their ticks, you can feel it. Getting in a stall with young horses that you've never met,
like in the middle of the night too. Yeah, like in
the dark.
Yeah, with the owner present.
Yeah, it's a little scary. Like I said, this horse show and that other horse show that I braid for are kind of my two big. Like, I never know how it's going to go. So every horse I'm very cautious about. A lot of braiding year round. A lot of the horses I do all year, so I know them to an extent. I know that what they're going to do in the middle of the night in the dark. And a lot of them are like horses that show all the time. So even if it's a new horse to me, I know it's been braided by someone else. But a lot of the ones here, this is like what I'm doing to them is very new. So it's always a little bit of an unknown every time you open the stall door. But they were all wonderful, truly.
I love that. I absolutely love it, and glad to hear it. Like I said, I just feel like horsemanship this year was really top notch. And I think it showed in the horses. Like, they were all super friendly and curious about people, maybe not secret, but all the others were. So it's great to hear that was there. Claire, what about you? What were some of your fears, and how did your horses actually perform?
I was really happy just from the moment the horses got off the trailer. I really didn't think the atmosphere would bother them at all. We've taken them to a lot of places, and they just were like so reasonable everywhere they've been. But you never know. But they just walked around with a big loop in their rope everywhere we went. They were like little Labradors. They were so good. So my biggest concern actually was, because I sprained my knee, I didn't have quite the amount of prep with Cash that I had planned. He was supposed to go to the Fairhill Thoroughbred show so I could get around a hunter course more recently, because I hadn't done that since earlier in the summer. Where, at home we have a lot of show jumps. It's not that we can't kind of set a hunter course, but just having those lines and the fill and stuff like that. I knew he'd jump everything in front of him, but it just comes down to wanting to show them off to the best of their ability. And, he is quite small as well, not as small as a little hobo, but he's 15.1. And, I'd been working with him on the ground a lot. We do a lot of groundwork, but I'd been working it with canter pulls on a circle, canter pulls to a jump, canter pulls to a jump to canter pulls. Honestly, kind of rather advanced stuff for any horse, but he's been doing it on the rope to help him open up his step, because he's a little bit like my buff dude horse. He's real comfy on that small step, but he has a big step. And he jumps better from it. So our schooling day, that's really, it's the first time I had jumped him in like a month. He'd done it on the rope, and Tom had given him a school before we left. So it's not like he hadn't, but I hadn't gotten to really feel some of the changes in him, the positive changes. And so our jumper school was great. And then we went into the hunter ring, and I was really struggling to find the step. I was kind of like halving it just a little bit, and I was getting, he kind of naturally had a perfect half stride every time. So then you had to make a choice. Am I going to stay with the ad where he really didn't jump as well, or am I going to go? And can I get that done? And we did by the end of our schooling, and he was really, really good. And then we had our jumper round. We did jumpers first, and he was fantastic. And I got into the hunters, and I was actually a little nervous, just wanted to, he's such a willing guy. I just wanted to make sure I could get him forward, get him to that step. But by the time I finished my first round, I mean, he was just unbelievable, and he made the distances, and the only little bobble he had was missing his hind change right to left. in both courses. And I think it was just because he was a little tired. Which is fair, and it's not really an issue. But I was also kind of laughing. I didn't set him up the best for it, and I joked. I was like, I didn't know he was going to be that good at everything else, so I wasn't really worried about it. And now we probably would have been. He could have been a little closer to the top 10. He was still 15th, and I'm absolutely thrilled with that. So yeah, and Snapper, of course, just really showed just his beautiful temperament and step and jump. But I was actually kind of nervous about the hunter ring. And he was wonderful. And then his hat class was like, it was silly how good it was. Like, it was embarrassing.
I mean, I wanted to put Cash in the Subaru.
He would fit and he would get in.
Horse. I know he would.
He
we
was
have snacks
so beautiful in the flat.
Oh my gosh. I was so impressed. I mean, I knew I've schooled him for that. That's how we ride kind of regularly. We have a lot of mayhem on our farm. Like, we got people everywhere. So he doesn't care if somebody runs up on him that's like a daily thing around here. But he was particular, like, it was kind of funny. Like, I was like, is everybody watching this? Like, I know he's the littlest one in here. There's like an 18-hand horse next to me, just a little Cash, but he was just amazing.
Oh, I love that, Claire. And yes, Tom had a great run too. I really enjoyed watching his flat ride. Snapper's just he's a cool horse. You really had like a nice crop coming with you this year.
We really did. And Snapper won the best conditioned show hunter award, which I thought was kind of, that's an impressive thing to do. I think the braid job was a serious whip.
So you both won in that one.
I didn't know that.
Oh, you didn't know
I braided
that?
Won this year. No, someone I braided has won in their division. I think the last 2 years. I didn't know that someone I won braided this year. That I braided one this year too. That's exciting.
Yes, you did.
Amazing.
All right, braider to the stars.
Yeah,
yes,
that's right.
The braider makes the stars.
Well, last but not least, Adriana, what about you? What fears did you have coming into it, and how did Hopo perform?
So I actually had a terrible 2 weeks leading up to the makeover in terms of like preparation, because preparation is a big thing for me. I like to be overly prepared for everything I do. And I felt like I was all season. I mean, I went all over Tarnation with that pony. He competed at dressage shows, recognized events. He went here, there, and everywhere. And he was so confident. We were feeling so ready. And then the 2 weeks before the makeover, everything just went to crap. And I actually, the vlog that we do on YouTube, our last episode leading up to the makeover, I explain this in detail of what was going on. So basically, he just suddenly felt like he was really tense, and that's just not him. He's just a cool dude. And so I was like, where's this coming from? And because I didn't have very much time left, I actually contemplated scratching from the eventing altogether. And I told my coach, Kiki, I said, Kiki, I think I'm going to scratch from the eventing and just do dressage, because he was just acting like this little bouncy ball. When we would go up to a jump, he gets really excited, and that's fine. I like enthusiasm. I like that. But he would just, it was too much. And I was like, what's going on here? This is not great. And she said, no, don't scratch. Let's try a few different things and see, and if you need to scratch at the last minute, once you get there, you can. So I changed about 7 variables leading up to the makeover to try to like desperately get him to be a little bit more quiet and rideable. I cut alfalfa completely out of his diet, I feed all of my horses straight alfalfa, all of my off the track thoroughbreds. And I was like, okay, no more alfalfa for you. And it's a good thing I did that, because he got a 6 on the body score condition. They said he was chubby.
A 6? That's amazing.
6. They said he was chubby. I was like, okay, man. I probably shouldn't have been feeding you alfalfa at all the whole time.
He got a 7 and almost an 8. So
oh my God.
So Snapper got a 6 as well, and that's in show hunters. You get best conditioned. It's not the same in
and then so a few other things. I changed his flatting bit and his jumping bit to something a little different. I removed my spurs, and even though he feels a little bit like typically he's a little bit behind my leg, but I was like, all right, well, he's being reactive to these spurs. So I'm just going to take them off and kick like the Dickens and just work a little harder. And then I started him on this liquid magnesium supplement, this Nupa feed stuff that you give them in tubes before the competition. So I just like changed so many things. I don't even know what it was that worked, but it worked. Something worked. We got to the show and he was his normal relaxed self. He was so swingy and soft and rhythmical and just absolutely perfect. I'm really glad I didn't scratch from the eventing because he did make the finale. And I just felt really stupid. And I ate crow big time when I told my coach. I was like, you were right. You were totally right.
I love it though. And I love that you're willing to share it too. You know, that like there are some moments, there's definitely like, you know, I've been there too on the road to the makeover and elsewhere where you're like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I got to scratch. Everything's the worst. But yeah, that's great that you worked through it. And even if you can't quite pinpoint yet what the magic bullet was, hopefully you can figure it out for the future. And
and I do think that like many of us or all of us, actually, I think I am very self-critical and want things to be perfect. And I think I was harping on that a little bit. And I don't know, my friend Louise, who actually came to the makeover with me with her horse, Makes Most Sense. She always says, and this is really wise advice, she always says, things tend to get ugly before they get better with training horses, with training young horses. Like you go through this ugly phase where you're working through something before it gets better. And so I think that's what happened. And it just was like really inopportune timing because it was right before the makeover. And I was like, oh my God, why is this happening? But then it got better.
Smooth it all out. I'm glad you mentioned advice because that's what we're going to close with. We are going to go rapid fire round here and everyone's going to give us one piece of advice for next year's crop of makeover trainers who are looking to embark on this journey, pretty much starting now. Let's see. I'm going to start with Claire. One piece of advice.
My advice is, like make hay when the sun shines. Like when your horse comes to you, if it's ready to go and do all the things because they're going to pull a shoe at some point or have an abscess and they're going to have a break. And it's fine because you'll have put in the homework when you can. You really have plenty of time. And if you don't get them until later, it'll still work. Because I think we're all proof that things happen, can happen right at the end, right up until the makeover. But because we've gone and done a lot when we could, then it worked. And if you can't until later, then you do it when you can. But it's, use those opportunities.
I love that. That's genius. Melissa, one piece of advice.
Don't buy the chestnut mare. I'm just kidding. I love her. I guess my advice is kind of in the same vein as Claire's. Like makeover isn't, like that's not the end point. Like it's not the finish line. It's just a stepping stone. So even if things don't go to plan, like it's okay. Like at the end of the day, they're still getting experience. They're still getting show miles. And, regardless of what you do, like that is a part of their history and like they move on and grow from it.
Love it. Yeah. Very accurate. Yeah. I mean, not like there will only be one overall winner. So make the most of your experience. Great. I love that. Adriana.
So the big one for me, there's so many things that I could say, but I think really the big one for me is enjoy every moment because the week goes by so fast in the blink of an eye and then it's over and you'll be so sad when it's over.
I worked so hard and I'm still sad it's over. I'm with you. All right. And Julia, we'll close with you. One piece of advice.
I have a couple, but I think for me this year especially is just the most important thing is just to listen to your horse. The makeover, like we all said, it's a first step. It's the beginning and that's it. And if you get there, that's awesome. This horse show is a really big ask for these guys. And, if you're pushing and pushing and you're not listening to them at the end of the day, it's not going to go the way you want. And so I think, listening to your horse, doing what's right by your horse, even if that means scratching the Saturday before, it's the right move, because at the end of the day, this is just the beginning for these guys. And after that, you go home and you go back to the drawing board and you figure out what's wrong, and then you're going to have a better partner for it at the end of the day. I think that's the biggest thing for me.
I love it. Yeah. Could not have picked a better piece of advice to end our series on. You guys, we're going to miss you so much. It was really, really fun to spend this year with you. I'm really glad everyone's makeover turned out the way it did, even if, like Julia, you guys didn't make it, but you made the best decision for your horse. Nothing but good horsemen here on this show. So thank you all so much for joining us this season for Making the Makeover. Joy and I are going to miss you.
If I make you all join a group chat, don't be mad at me. I just don't want to stop.
I love group chats. I'm in.
I'm into a group chat. I'm in.
All right.
I was in like 3 for makeover, and it was the greatest thing ever.
All right. Well, group chat.
It's done. Consider it done.
Perfect.
Yeah. Plus, I am going to have to follow up with everyone after our vet appointment on Friday. So.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yes, and I'll have to show everybody my 2024 horse, because I found one while we were in Kentucky.
Nice.
Yes.
Perfect. All right, y'all.
Right. Congrats. You made it.
We made
Absolutely.
it.
Congrats
we
to
made
everyone.
it together.
And best of luck for all future endeavors. And hopefully we'll see you next year.
This feels like a commencement address.
We're going to have reunion.
A lot of fun.
I know. We might do. Oh, that'd be fun. Kristen, new idea. We have 2 graduated classes now from this whole series.
We're having a party. All right.
Having a party.
I'm in.
I'm down.
Yeah, I'm in too.
Awesome. I love it. Maybe we'll make that our next listener meetup. It'll be a good time. It'll be fun. Okay. Have a great night, ladies. Thank you for contributing with the last few months, and just best of luck, really.
Thank you guys so much.
Yeah, thank you guys. It was really fun.
Even under the best circumstances, travel is stressful for horses. We've all been there, stuck on the side of the road in the middle of nowhere. You can make the journey knowing that US Rider is there for you. Get peace of mind on the road with US Rider's nationwide 24/7 roadside assistance coverage for both you and your horse. Join today at usrider.org.
Well, now that the Thoroughbred Makeover is officially wrapped and you all have FOMO, you're all starting to search for your next horse, it's only appropriate that we jump into our new Vocations segment of the show. And we have Leandra Cooper joining us back. Hey, Leandra.
Hello.
It's always a pleasure. I feel like this is the first time I missed you at the makeover, and I am sad that we didn't get to see each other in person.
Honestly, I was thinking the same thing. That was the biggest miss for me, because I feel like that's just become part of the routine now. We didn't do it.
I know. But you have your little baby, your little man. So I understood. Yeah. And next year he'll be crawling around. So that'll be fun. He'll be a fun little rugrat at the makeover for us to play with.
We'll have to find him a pony of sorts so he can keep up with us.
Oh, there were a couple ponies there this year, like little comfort minis.
Yes.
That were being led around. So yeah,
perfect.
I was like, don't tempt us, Leandra. For the first
we'll
time,
find you one.
We get to do the horse shopping here on this episode.
That's right.
Love it. I love it. Well, I know Kristen had a training question, which honestly, I feel like I would benefit from too. So I'll pass it off to her.
Yeah, this is asking for a friend. The friend is me. After how much time off do you expect a horse to have lost a significant or worrying amount of fitness where you'd want to adjust your ride? I'm not asking because I've just missed several weeks of riding time being at the makeover, but I am.
Definitely not. Right. A worrying amount. That is really my favorite phrase of that.
I'm a worrier. I want to know, if I lope you, is it going to hurt you or is it going to be okay? Yeah. Right.
Right. Yeah. I get the worry. I definitely get the worry. So the worrying, I can't tell you when that's going to happen because I don't think your horse is probably the one worrying in this scenario. But for your horse's sake, I would say within a couple of weeks, I would be looking to scale back my expectations. And it's really going to depend a lot on the specific horse. I mean, certainly when we have horses coming back from rehab, a month plus, I would recommend definitely going back to maybe not square one entirely. And again, the most dictating factor of that is going to be the fitness your horse had before that break. So if they were already kind of lounging and they're lounging more, then I would say probably reel it back to step one or square one, whatever phrase you want to apply there. But say you had the horse in a really good fitness place, you've taken a couple weeks off, whether you're sick or something's happened or you go to an event, one of these things happened, then I would see what the horse is telling you as far as their fitness. And one of the ways that I like to do this could apply to any ride really, because for my rides at least, I like to give them a significant walk warm-up time. I think that's beneficial no matter what the season, no matter the horse. I aim for 10 minutes of walking, and depending on the setup of your barn, maybe like I always really loved the ones where you would need to walk a little bit to the arena. I don't love them on the rainy days where you're just trying to get there, but you know, it's nice if you can get on your horse and kind of amble over there, or maybe like walk over to the ring. But no matter what, I would say, or outside of the ring, right? Just 10 minutes. And you know, some horses are already kind of feeling sluggish after the 10 minutes of walking, and that's going to tell you a lot as far as what you can hope to accomplish in that time. And if they still, you know, if you've just got them sort of warmed up and they're feeling good and you feel like you have more space to work, then I would step up into a trot and kind of scale it up. I try not to jump into any exercise. I don't think it's the most beneficial way to condition a horse unless it's in like very specific exercises where you're wanting them to really accelerate fast, or you know, have like very quick adjustments or transitions. But I tend to, even for a horse who is relatively well conditioned, like try to do more interval type work. There is a real natural inclination to, and I think this is also the way that a lot of lessons work, and there are reasons you would do that in a lesson, right? You only have a certain amount of time. But to kind of start slow and get faster and faster and do the harder stuff at the end and then stop. And I don't like to work that way. I'd rather work in kind of a bell curve. And so at the trot, I might start with just a couple minutes of trot and then walk again, asking for a transition back up, and then walk again and do kind of intervals and incorporate maybe just a minute or two of canter after that, depending again on how everything's feeling. And then scale it back down, maybe go back to trot, maybe walk for 5-8 minutes. So there is much more variety in the work. And in doing that, even if your horse is relatively out of shape, you could have the same kind of bell curve exercise pattern, but have it be shorter. You could also do the same thing with just walk and trot, and that's relatively low impact. If your horse is getting turned out, they're probably doing things in that same sort of way where they might be walking for a while, do a little bit of trot, go back to walk. So that's not likely to strain them, but that helps you to gauge also their fitness. And there are other tools you can use, like some pretty cool meters and trackers where you can track heart rate, respiratory rate, and you can get as in detail as you want about it. But I never think it's a bad idea to start on the lower impact side of things. And you can always adjust and accommodate and add things. So I would say for your friend, I would try that sort of exercise so that you can customize your program to your specific horse. And I don't need to necessarily give you like a cookie cutter pattern, but I think by doing that style of exercise, you're going to get a really good gauge of how well your horse is working based off of how hard they're breathing, how much effort they seem like they're putting in, are they getting lethargic? You'll be able to pick up those things and adjust accordingly. So it's not a catch-all sort of, like, I wish I could give you something more specific, but just horses are so different in the way that they retain muscle and fitness that that's probably the safest way to approach that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know I will be referring back to other training tips on how to ride a horse in the cold with no arena also while I'm doing this.
Too soon.
It's very pumpkin spicy around here right now.
Yeah. My mare was quite fresh coming back from the makeover after her week off. And I just lunged, which just to get kind of a sight of where she was at, because, whether she did something in the pasture while I was gone or anything, I didn't get any calls, but it's kind of a nice place to assess from the ground and to see how she's doing, what's her stamina. And by the way, it wasn't strong. We did not have strong stamina coming back in. We got winded quick. But coming back, then I gave her the next day off and then came back and just did like a 30-minute ride to see how she was too. And I felt like it gave me some ideas of where we need to work to get that fitness back up. So I like how you said kind of the intervals is a good way and constantly assessing along the way.
Yeah, never a bad idea to lunge either, unless, and you can always, I think we tend to not stick them on the lunge line for exercise if they've come back fairly recently from a soft tissue injury, but something like a 50-foot circle, a bigger circle, like you can utilize it in so many different ways that it's such a good tool, and one where you can feel confident with 2 feet on the ground.
Or even long line too. That's another good one where you can kind of build the arena size that you need. If your horse long lines comfortably, do what's safest at the end of the day. Listeners, do what makes you feel safe.
I've just mostly been looking at mine. It's also been raining. To be fair, it's rained ever since I got back. So that's my
well, yeah.
Oh, well. In the meantime, I can window shop at New Vocations because you guys have some excellent horses up for adoption, including our featured horse of the week. So, Leandra, tell us about Cover Me Up, which I think is a great name considering
it is a good name.
His mother's name is Clothes Fall Off, so I can see why he got his name, but I was like, oh my God. So yes, please tell us about this.
So funny.
Yeah, I'm glad that you brought that up because that's my favorite detail about him. His dam's name is Clothes Fall Off, and that is so fantastic. So Cover Me Up, who we appropriately call Player, is a really lovely 2019 gelding who at this point stands around 16 hands, and he's definitely going to fill out more. So, 16 hands, that range can feel so different, but he's very adjustable. And I feel like he could fit a whole range of different riders comfortably. And he is a really sweet personality. He is playful in some ways, but really respects boundaries once they're set, has a really nice way of going. We've put a little bit of work into growing out a little better quality feet, which is a pretty typical issue that we're dealing with. But he has a really good foundation. So I think it's only a matter of time until we're seeing him really flourish. And as he continues to have more training rides, he's learning how to use himself better and better and has a really great disposition for all of that. So speaking of the makeover, one of the things that I feel like I harp on, and some of that's from my own experience and doing the competition, but just seeing it also for so many years where people's expectations sometimes are that they can get whatever horse and the competition kind of has to meld to them. But that's not really the way that things work in reality. What is ideal is finding a horse who has the physical and the mental qualities that will make them better candidates for that type of competition. Because since you can't start training until December 1st, and now it's in October, I feel like it used to be in September. So I feel you had like an even shorter little amount of time. But so say you have like maximum 10.5 months of training that you can do for this competition. Like that, those are the terms, those don't change. So you have this relatively short amount of time to get them competing in a national competition. So you really need a horse who has the ability to fit within those requirements. There's some horses are going to be lovely with years of training in them, but you need a horse who is ready to kind of get going, hit the ground running, so to speak. And a lot of that is mental. So a horse like Player is going to be one who I would highly recommend people look at if they are interested in competing at the makeover next year. And because of his build, I feel like he could go in a lot of different directions. And he's going to be capable of competing at a low to mid-level range, which is entirely appropriate for this competition, and then some. So I think that he just is going to be a really, really nice prospect for somebody. And he's one of the horses I expected to be scooped up immediately. And he's still looking for a home, so you still have a chance. And we right now have this awesome special going on, which we've extended a little bit past the actual makeover time, but these are for all the horses who are eligible for 2024. So if you're shopping for your horse for next year, Cover Me Up is eligible, and we are giving $500 off the adoption fee to people who are specifically interested in horses for next year's competition. And by the time this is published, it may be just past our stated cutoff of October 22nd. So I wanted to extend for anybody who is listening this $500 off adoption fee discount if you're getting your makeover prospect for next year. Just mention that Leandra said on the Retired Racehorse Radio podcast that you can still get your $500 off as long as you're still with it adopting within October. I'm happy to give you the ins on that. So definitely take a look at Cover Me Up, because he's going to be a really, really nice, he is a nice horse, and he's going to continue to develop into a really nice one. And I think he could be really competitive. So definitely take a look.
I love it. Yeah, little Retired Racehorse Radio exclusive, friends.
Yes.
I also really like how you phrased that, Leandra, that like the makeover, because sometimes we get some flack for that being like, it's a deadline competition. We don't like those. That's a bad idea. Training doesn't happen on a deadline. And like, correct, it doesn't. But, we also don't say that every single horse is a good fit for the makeover. And that's just the reality of it. And that's okay.
Nobody's making you compete. That's the thing.
Yeah. You can withdraw at any time. It's okay.
Yeah. Well, and that happened, we actually at New Vocations, we had a horse that we've never done a team horse before. And now I'm completely blanking on what is time anyway, right? Last year or the year before, whatever, one of those years, we had a horse who seemed really promising, but just we worked on getting her sound for a really long time. She had feet issues, and we can't change that timeline. We cannot. But she also was a little bit higher strung. She had a big personality. She still does. She's extremely successful right now. She's doing well, but she just was not going to do well in the time frame of the competition. So we just withdrew, and that's all there was to it. It's no hard feelings. It's the way it is, but it's what's best for the horse. So training also very much, if not like more than anything, is what is best for the horse. So definitely make sure when you're looking at horses for this competition, because the competition is what it is. We don't get to be mad at it. It just is what it is. So if you want to enter it and do well in it, get a horse who can do it. If you want to enter it and use it as a training step towards the future, do that. Also a great thing. But, you want to be competitive, get a horse like Cover Me Up.
Absolutely.
Great advice. Great advice. So make sure to get your applications in at horseadoption.com. If you have questions, you can reach out to Leandra. Just go ahead and find her on New Vocations website and reach out. But Leandra, it's always a pleasure to have you. We appreciate it. Appreciate all your advice. And it sounds like Chris and I have some conditioning to do for our horses.
Don't we all?
Until
thanks
next
for having
time.
me, guys.
Yes,
All right. See you next time.
Kristen, it was such a party-packed episode. I am trying not to cry that we just graduated our second class of Making the Makeover.
I already miss them. They've been gone for 5 minutes.
I know. It makes me sad, but I am excited to see who comes up next year. We have a couple weeks before we even have to start thinking about those things. We're going to take a quick mental break from that type of planning. We'll still have some cool episodes to come. Don't you worry. We have lots of content planned for the remainder of the year, but makeover things are going to take a little break for us. But before we jump into the close, we got such a sweet message on Instagram, and I just I had to share it because it's what we love most about listeners and knowing that you're loving this show. So we got a message from Virginia Grace Lindsay, and she said, "Hi, Kristen and Joy. I met both of you briefly at the RRP Makeover last week and wanted to take one more chance to fangirl, especially because I didn't make it to the Barrels and Brews. Y'all show is so phenomenal, and you have done a great job presenting the makeover. I volunteered and went to the show solely because of your show and had a great time. I also made my non-horse parents tag along, and the finale was a great intro to all the different horse disciplines. We all agreed that the polo was the most entertaining and fun to watch. I'm an adult amateur with aspirations to own an off-the-track horse one day. Your show has almost convinced me to get a standardbred first. I love how you guys emphasize understanding of the horse's background in order to help them become successful in their second careers. I am 4 episodes away from listening to every episode, and it will be the only podcast I can say that for." And I cried. I cried when I saw it.
Oh, I love that. That is, thank you.
Yes. It was so sweet. Not what I expected to see, but I woke up this morning and it's honestly what I hoped this show would bring. Not just about the makeover, but just that people felt empowered to get off the track horses, whether it's a thoroughbred or a standardbred. They felt like there was that community to support them, that the information was there, that they could figure out all the quirks and be prepared for it. And so I really want to thank Virginia for sharing that message, and thanks to all the listeners who showed up at the makeover, and to all of you who send very kind, warming messages to us and ideas, guest ideas. It's so appreciated. So I couldn't think of a better way to end this episode besides that. Before I get really emotional, shall we jump into the clues?
And we should. This episode has me super in my feels, and I love it. That said, you can find our show notes and links to today's guests on the website at horseradionetwork.com. Like us on Facebook and Instagram, just search for Retired Racehorse Radio. Follow us on Twitter at Horse Radio. You can find me on Instagram at The Horseback Rider and on Twitter at Kristen Kovach. My email is kbentley@therrp.org.
You can find me on Instagram at MisfitMare, and my email is joy@horseradionetwork.com. Thank you to our sponsors, Kentucky Performance Products and Cashel Company, and to our partners, New Vocations Adoption Program and the Retired Racehorse Project. And don't forget to check out all the other shows on the Horse Radio Network, part of Equine Network, at horseradionetwork.com. Remember to set your goals high and love to learn from every ride.
And always add more leg.
Bye, guys.